I've got another fan take for you. So this is an interesting one. Bot Pounder 420, the notorious Bot Pounder 420, says Riot killing the open circuit is not just the worst thing that's happened in League, but in the entire history of esports. So, and that's it. He didn't, because he's Bot Pounder 420, he didn't even give us any more reasons. He just left. He just, he just said that and then walked out the room. So thoughts, Kira?
So, outside of like the double like match fixing scandal, like killing StarCraft Brood War and then killing the start of but affecting the start of StarCraft 2 with, was it Life? I can't remember. Yeah, it was there Life. Yeah. I always get his name mixed up with someone else. Outside of that, like literally just fucking nuking like probably one of the greatest games and one of the greatest like eras of like esports like ever. And it's up there. Like it genuinely is up there. Like there is like a Twilight Zone episode of League of Legends where like no talk show has to like ever talk about formats or fucking Riot controlling leagues or removing owners or fucking like shit like this because you know what I mean, we just had like an open like unnaturalized open circuit like, and again like the beautiful thing is like the game I'm more native to in terms of like Dota, like we have this, so we, and even with like people's brains being broken in Dota with like TI because of the way the tournament is, right? Okay, people still respect the rest of the circuit. You know what I mean? Like people still like the OG team are literally called like the Kings of Summer and the Kings of like Spring, and you know what I mean? Like the TL team of like Karaoke was literally like considered like one of the greatest teams of all time because they went over to China and they broke newbies win streak, 100 game like win streak, and they like flew out to fucking like beat them in some like crazy fucking like honor shit. It's mad, and yet these stories like Thorin, you'll know this. Like I have like a real hard time saying Cyril's like the greatest StarCraft player ever because he won't go and play in GSL. And I know like GSL isn't what it was anymore, Code S, right? Okay, but going to Korea and beating team Koreans in Korea is its own monolith. I don't know. In League of Legends, the only people that experienced it were the people in Season 2. But beating Koreans in Korea is like in like OGN and stuff like that is its own like thing. Like it is an achievement that like is reserved for someone only almost like prodigious of like Western players. And like 3 people have done it ever. Like the Overwatch guys, Gur, and then one other person done it. So it's like incredible. And again, we've been denied all this. And it's just what could have been. And I know what could have been actually like amazing because I've seen it in every other game, and it would have fit League of Legends perfectly with the patches, the fans, tier 2, everything. It was actually a 1-to-1 match, but because Riot are controlling cunts, yeah, they killed it.
I know one thing at least that's worse than killing the open tournament in esports. I mean, You're the historian, Thorin, so you probably have one that's even worse than mine. But I think the whole Overwatch League thing, after 15 years of investing on its own credibility, the esports industry finally makes it by being the center of interest of venture capitalists that can finally inject some money into it. But the Overwatch League promising all these guys, wonders in terms of investment and having zero delivery at the other end of the tunnel, and resulting in all VCs in the world just pulling their money back and slamming the door and not having any interest, ensuring a monetary growth in the whole ecosystem is probably slightly worse than having Riots blocking some open tour teams to access better leagues. But I might be wrong. I just feel like it's probably terrible. I do believe it's terrible that Riot, by wanting to secure investment, killed a lot of its own esports, and they have a very hard time walking it back. Know that like the soil is more fertile for an open-ended circuit. But I would say that, for instance, the impact on the Overwatch League on the investment side of esports is just like unmatched in terms of negatives. I know people have to run towards, like Saudi and stuff like this to find the money because it doesn't come from the Western world anymore. So I think that was at least one example of things that were way worse than what Riot did in terms of competitive.
Put it this way, I actually sort of agree with you on this, Sabatine, because the thing is, it's one of those ones where I can go both ways. Like, I actually think the point Bot Pounder makes, I'll make my own version of it in a second. The hypothetical of what could have been of League of Legends. Yeah, I agree with Kira. It could have been the biggest thing literally ever. And remember, it already was anyway, essentially in esports as it is. But I've always given the analogy that what Riot did with League of Legends is like barely beating someone driving a Ford Fiesta, but you're driving like a fucking Lamborghini. It's like, bro, you're supposed to win by miles. Like, you're not supposed to win by that much. Like, yeah, you beat CS, a game that doesn't have Korea and China. Congrats. Like, what the fuck? You'd have to really fuck it up to not do that when you have Korea and China on your side. So what I would say is, the reason I agree with you, Sabatine, is just the actual real world impact of the Overwatch League was just poison in so many areas. Like, first of all, remember, it was actually the first big buy-in franchise league. And remember, we're now finding out that, like, LCS was overpriced at $10 million a slot. Bro, they were asking for $30 million. Remember, for Season 2, the prices went up. It was mental. And so people literally took what at the time, by the way, were very well run, massive American orgs. Some of them, remember, had barely even taken VC. Some of them had like been really careful min-maxing how much VC they'd taken. And everyone had to take loads of VC because just the slot was 20, 30 million. Then, by the way, if you're a Cloud9, you also then want your LCS spot and then you want your CDL spot. It meant that literally a whole bunch of people who'd been very good businessmen for like 10 years were almost like priced in a game of chicken economically to have to then get $50 million and put it into all their teams. And none of these leagues so far have ever come close to turning a profit. And by the way, most of them probably never will. In fact, I think they'll all go the Valorant model and what's happening in LTA. I think eventually Riot will pay you back and you'll just be being paid to be part of the league. It'll be the other way around. They'll very quickly realise, wait a minute, why does Cloud9 pay me to be in LTA? If anything, I should be paying them to stay in LTA. Like, what if they fuck off and just only do CS and Valorant and the other games? So I think, personally, actually, the next 5 years of esports is undoing all the fucking problems of Overwatch League. Then I'll add in as well, one of the most insane things people don't get that Overwatch fucked was two things that were essential for the future of esports to be massive. One, they got that enormous deal from Twitch where they got like 80 or 90 million dollars for the rights. I can tell you, I have to say this carefully because in theory you can get sued for these things. Essentially, Twitch fired the person who made that deal because it was so clearly like some insane like Nepo deal where they just like knew Bobby Kotick or something and just was sort of like, that was like some government corruption shit. You know the thing that drives everyone crazy with government corruption? It's how cheap these fuckers are. Like, you give a guy on the council, you know, a bribe of $100,000 and he gives you a contract that's like for $20 million to build a building. Well, if you're the people getting ripped off, you're like, bro, you're fucking us out of 20 million for the sake of you getting 100k. Like, what a piece of shit you are. That's the Overwatch, that's the esports equivalent of that. After that, Twitch literally went to the point where, like, now, not only will they not pay you to ever have a fucking event anymore, by the way, everyone's events are just free now at this point in time. Like, that actually proved there wasn't any value in it. Well, broadcast rights are enormous in sports. Anyone who watches football knows the entire reason the Premier League is so big is because they get everyone in England to pay for satellite TV, basically, to watch the games. Like, that is bigger than going to the ground and paying for your ticket and going in. Like, there's more money in it. That's how teams literally, that's why getting relegated from the Premier League kills you as a squad, because you lose all that insane money every year. And then I'd also say, lastly, they didn't just come and rip off, you know, Cloud9 and Team Liquid. Oh, it's worse than that. Bobby Kotick burned your once-in-a-lifetime chance to get real sports owners to think they're going to be in esports. He got some of the biggest sports and companies in the world and was like, this is it. This is your time to come in. And they got burned so hard. I don't think some of them are ever coming back, boys. It's why, even though we make fun of them, they'll only now do a franchise league when it's like a game they already know. Like, oh, I'll do the video game version of NBA. Like, to me and you, we're like, why would you waste your money on that? Because at least they think, well, at least I know basketball. At least I have a sense of what I'm fucking watching. I tried your Overwatch League shit. I got my arse handed to me and that league's dead now. So, like, I agree. The real world damage of Overwatch League can never be understated. But now I'll do the hypothetical. Because this is why people have always thought I was super salty. Whenever on Summoning Insight, I would always say, I think Riot actually have done... Put it this way, I'll never hate on them. They haven't done like an F grade job with League of Legends esports. They've probably done like B-. I'll even be generous, B-. You know, there've been times it was pretty good. There've been times it was pretty bad. I think some of the decisions they made were bad. But at the same time, like I said, they don't have a competitor. No one else ever had the entire world of esports watching the game at the same time. So with what they had, they still did win the race. They got the B-, but they could have been A+. And the first things first, what's the thing I always said on all my shows as to why if people from Counter-Strike or Quake or Dota said to me, why the fuck are you wasting your time in League of Legends? It's like for little kids or something. I would always tell them, because you know what League of Legends has that no other game in esports history has? Every major region is trying their hardest to be the best in this game. So that means that, like, when I'm in Dota, famously, I always look around and go, mate, imagine what the Koreans would do if they'd ever really got in this game. When I'm in fucking Counter-Strike, I've even told mates of mine that are like first ballot Hall of Famers, like Simple and Get Right, oh, you are the GOATs, but we'll never know, because the joke is there's some kid playing League of Legends now might actually have handed you your ass, mate. Like, you'll never know this, and we'll never know. It'll have to only be hypothetical, but the problem is, if you get like 100,000 Korean kids and have them playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive for 10 years, you would have some GOAT players. You'd have some fucking really special guys who, like I said, might be a League of Legends pro or Valorant pro now or StarCraft pro or whatever. So if all these other games don't have the whole world, so you have the whole world, then I'll add in. I actually think if you'd have had it be tournament format, the open circuit, not constant leagues, bro, I think viewership would be higher. Because a bit like the discussion earlier about the format, oh no, it wouldn't be for bad games. No one would give a fuck about a group stage game. You know how whenever you get like an MSI or an LCK final with T1 versus like a Gen G, the viewership just goes like this. Mate, think how many years we have wasted where we had Faker and Uzi I. By the way, they had guaranteed viewership in China and Korea. You could have had these guys meeting in international finals, Formula One style, every 2 months for like 10 years. That's how much viewership you just throw in the fucking bin, making it like, no, they do it once every 2 years. Like, that's like the game. Like, people know the stat already. Famously, Rookie and Faker never meet. They just play like a BO1 or something Worlds. That's it. Like, they don't ever meet. Bro, Messi and Ronaldo played in the same fucking league. That was box office TV. When I was a boy, nobody watched La Liga. The reason everyone watched La Liga was because these fuckers played in it. Suddenly it became a thing where even British people in pubs would be like, oh, turn on the Real versus Barca or Classico. That would have never happened back in the day, mate. You had a chance for that in League. You had a chance for the game to be like impossibly large for the biggest matches. And then the last thing I'll point out, and I've always said this is where my point I told you when they made it in 2023, when they changed the MSI format, I told people this will now become everyone's favourite tournament in esports, in CS, League of Legends esports, because it's double a lane and it has full BO5 all day, right? Remember how many, you remember this, Sabbaty, it was even before your days, mate. Do you remember how many years people still banged on about IPL 5? By the way, IPL 5 doesn't even, you only had one Korean team. Like, people talked about that for like 7 years. Like, oh, it's the greatest. And I wanted to tell them, it's just the TI format. You could have this every year. Like, you know, in theory, it's only Riot stopping us doing IPL 5 now. Like, and the joke is, all people wanted the whole time was a really good format, but they thought it was that tournament, mate. They thought, no, it's because of that tournament. Remember? And then World Elite and then Reckless on Flat. No, it was the format, you idiots. That format is, as proven by TI, probably just the best format for a World Championship. That's why you all had it. So essentially, even though it'll have to be purely hypothetical, like we can never really know if what I'm saying is true, I would just say other esports show that I think there was a chance for it to be big. So look, obviously you made it hyperbolic. It's the worst thing ever in the history of esports. That's a bit exact, but I'll go the other way. The difference is I don't think it stopped what I think could have been the best thing ever in esports. Like, I think if you took League and learned the lessons of the other esports, I do think it was the game that had the chance to go even bigger than this. I think it could have actually broken through, mate. Like, I think of all these countries that care so much, like, you could have had a fucking this game could have been the biggest game ever. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.